the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock.
He hits it.
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it. The Ducks have won.
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Catch made. Touchdown, Oregon.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
We've got a busy show today. It's award season, and Bo Nix is filling up the trophy case. He's the Campbell Trophy honoree. Congratulations to Bo Nix at an event last night that included LaMichael James being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Bo Nix took home the Campbell Trophy. We'll talk about that. And I'll tell you what, that's a heck of an honor. For the second time in 5 years, the premier award for athletic achievement and academic achievement was bestowed upon an Oregon quarterback. Justin Herbert won the award 4 years ago. And the William V. Campbell Trophy this year going to Bo Nix. That's amazing. So we call it the academic Heisman. It takes into account so many different aspects of your play, what you do off the field, what you do in the classroom. And Bo has just been excellent. He's excelled in all of those categories. And I'll tell you what, I remember Rob Mullins said after Justin Herbert won the Campbell Trophy that might have been the biggest honor that anyone at Oregon had ever been given. The Heisman is one thing, but the Campbell Trophy just represents so much more than your play on the field. And that's what Bo Nix took home last night. He will be in New York City this weekend as a Heisman Trophy finalist. We'll see if he wins the darn thing coming up on Saturday. Nix said, quote, "I've always loved football, and playing it has brought opportunities in the community and the classroom. I appreciate that this honor recognizes the full range of work that we do outside of football, and this wouldn't be possible without all the support I've received." That's in his acceptance speech last night that Bo said that. And that embodies everything that this award is about, and honestly, everything that Bo is about. He spent this season donating $100 per touchdown of his own money to the ALS Foundation. He graduated magna cum laude from Auburn. He's got a near 4.0 GPA in the classroom at Oregon while he is pursuing a master's degree. He was one of 16 finalists, all of whom received an $18,000 postgraduate scholarship as members of the National Scholar Athlete class. But as the winner, Bo also receives a $25,000 scholarship, and he joined Herbert and fellow quarterbacks Bill Musgrave and Dennis Dixon as finalists for the award from Oregon, and he became, of course, the second Ducks winner. Just amazing. He's a native of Alabama, followed in his father's footsteps to Auburn. First career start was actually against his Campbell Trophy winning partner in Justin Herbert. Isn't that amazing? Look at where Justin Herbert is now, and then look at where Bo Nix is now. Just so cool. That's so cool. Mullins said, Rob Mullins, Oregon Athletic Director, this time he said, anytime you can have a League Scholar Athlete of the Year, which Bo Nix was from the Pac-12, it's an incredible accomplishment, and we've been fortunate to have those. But in the sport of football, the Campbell Trophy puts you in an elite company. At this level, it's incredibly tough competition. To have somebody chosen as the winner, it's a special, special fraternity, and Bo is very deserving. That's Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullins on the Campbell Trophy. Nix will attend a recognition ceremony as the Campbell Trophy winner in New York this weekend, in addition to all of the Heisman Trophy events. Congratulations to Bo Nix. Tremendous honor. Tremendous honor. Dan Lanning was there, and you know that that's a proud head coach. That is a very proud head coach. Talk about a guy representing the University of Oregon. Doesn't get much better than Bo Nix. Also along the awards topic, the Oregon offensive line is a finalist for the Joe Moore Award, which annually recognizes the most outstanding offensive line unit in college football. The Ducks are one of 4 finalists, along with Georgia, LSU, and Washington. Ducks were also a finalist in 2019. The offensive line has been dominant for the Ducks, leading the nation with just 5 sacks allowed, 4 fewer than any other FBS team. Ducks allowed multiple sacks just once in 13 games this season, while not allowing any sacks in 9 games, including 6 of the last 7. Much like Bo Nix, we talked about his numbers in the second half of the season yesterday. He's been the best player in the country statistically in the second half of the season. Oregon's O-line following suit. No question, those two work in tandem, and they sure have so far this season. Tied for 4th in the FBS with just 42 tackles for loss allowed, Oregon ranks 2nd in the nation in scoring, total offense, and passing offense, 3rd in yards per rush. Ducks have the top-graded pass-blocking team in the nation by Pro Football Focus, a 91.3 grade for those of you who follow those things, nerds like me do. The Ducks are the only team that checked in above 90 on Pro Football Focus's grading scale. Ducks are also the nation's number 2 graded rushing team by Pro Football Focus at 95 on their scale. Individually, Jackson Powers Johnson, who won the match, we're told, against Casey Rogers yesterday. Congratulations, JPJ. He is individually a finalist for the Remington Trophy and was a 2-time winner of the Pac-12 Offensive Lineman of the Week. Remington Trophy recognizes the best center in college football. Stephen Jones, 4th among all FBS offensive linemen and 2nd among all guards with a 91.7 pass blocking grade, again by Pro Football Focus. The Oregon offensive line unit claimed the Joe Moore Pancake of the Week 5 times during this season. That's like offensive lineman play of the week nationally, and the Ducks won that 5 times. The awards voting committee will announce the recipient of the Joe Moore Award after a surprise visit to the winning university's campus in late December. So we'll find out in late December if they show up here on campus, then we'll know if the Ducks are the Joe Moore Award winners. Pretty cool. I got to say, I really appreciate that there are awards beyond just the individual skill positions, individual quarterbacks. I mean, those get all of the recognition, and truly the Heisman has even become a quarterback's award. It's rare that you see a quarterback not win the thing. It's also rare that you even see finalists that aren't quarterbacks at this point. So I like that the Joe Moore Award exists. I like that the Campbell Trophy, and I understand I'm a little counterintuitive to my point right now because Bo is a quarterback and he won the Campbell Trophy, but a lot of the finalists were not quarterbacks. I appreciate that those awards exist around college football. I think that makes for a lot of intrigue. If you're a recruit who isn't going to play quarterback, wide receiver, running back, whatever, I like that. I think that there are so many great offensive linemen, for example, that deserve to be recognized. Elsewhere on today's show, Athletic Director Jody Sykes, Senior Associate AD, the Chief Compliance Officer here at Oregon. She actually talked with Ryan Milano earlier this week, and we've got that in 2 parts for you coming up. And Dana Altman and Jermaine Couisnard met with the media for basketball after practice yesterday. And I also want to point out that this week, we actually today just talked with Alan York. He's the voice of the Flames. We'll have the call on the Liberty broadcast coming up on January 1st. Talked with him for about 25 minutes about a number of topics. That'll be tomorrow's show. And Missy Lombardi, we're checking in on Ducks softball with her this week. In addition to Oregon volleyball in the postseason on Thursday, we'll have some from Matt Ulmer, and women's basketball. They're meeting with the media today. We'll have that for you coming up on Friday before finals week comes to a close with Oregon women's basketball against Idaho at 6 o'clock on Friday. Oregon live stream and, of course, the Oregon Sports Network has you covered for the call there. That's today's show, so you know what? Let's get to it. Quick timeout, come back. Jody Sykes, really interesting conversation about the transfer portal, NIL, few other things. Maybe Ryan will ask her about a specific video game related to college football. We'll find out. He did ask her that. Chief Compliance Officer Jody Sykes, we're talking with her when we come back. It's Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by your local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container, because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Adopt U.S. Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the Lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. So we'll have a number of guests for you, and normally on Tuesdays, we have Athletic Director Tuesday, but we had so much content from basketball yesterday, and Jody Sykes is actually traveling yesterday and today. So she was kind enough to join Ryan Milano on Monday. Talked a little bit about honestly, a large list of things. She's a sport admin for beach volleyball and women's golf, but also the chief compliance officer here at Oregon, and is an encyclopedia of great information. I personally am always interested in updates with the transfer portal, how things work. I'm always interested in, how NIL is reshaping college football. There's a lot of headlines around all that this week, and Jody helped us understand a lot of things that are, a big part of college football off the field and college athletics off the field. Conversation with Chief Compliance Officer Jody Sykes.
Jody Sykes is here, Chief Compliance Officer for the University of Oregon. And Jody, there's absolutely nothing going on for you right now, right?
Zero. Zilch, nada.
Yeah, December hits and there's no compliance going on. There is no transfer portal. There's no recruiting. Nothing. But catch people up. What is actually going on in your world?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're in the finals week for the student athletes, right? So we've got our student athletes who are working on their finals. Grades get posted next Tuesday. And what people may not know is that every student athlete has to be recertified every term based on their grades from the previous term. So right now we're doing a lot of prep work to make sure we're lined up with who has to be certified first, what the bowl certification looks like for football, figuring all that out. We've got folks who are entering the transfer portal and, dealing with some education around that. We still have folks competing. I mean, obviously, indoor track just competed this past weekend. Men's and women's basketball is still competing. Football is still competing. So we still have folks that are around, when making sure those parts of things are going well. You've got a little bit of stuff coming from the NCAA here and there. Not a lot, but a little bit. So we're trying to make sure we're ready for the January vote on a few things. And so we're having conversations with administration or with coaches or with whomever to make sure the conference office has the feedback that they need for that vote. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. We've talked about this on the show previously in various capacities, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't even realize. They're just like, oh yeah, the students are gone, school's over, you guys get a break, right? Everybody asked me, how was your summer break? Summer break? Wait, what is that? Yeah, and it's the same thing in winter break, right? Yeah, it is slower. There's fewer students on campus. Most of our sports are not here training and practicing and competing, but there's still a lot that goes on behind the scenes, that's necessary to just keep the kind of the compliance ship afloat and just do the checking of the boxes that we're responsible for. So, yeah.
I want to touch on that academic certification just a little bit.
Sure.
For sports that span over 2 different seasons, do athletes have to be certified again in the middle of their season, then what goes into that?
So it's not in the middle of their season. It's with each academic term. So at the end of the fall, each student athlete has to be certified for winter. And at the end of the winter, each student athlete has to be certified for spring. And then we use the spring grades for the next fall and so on, right? It's a rotation. But because we're a quarter institution, that certification has to be done 3 times a year. Semester schools only have to do that twice a year. So a student athlete, if they're eligible for winter term, they're eligible for the entire term. But when you have a sport that crosses over, say, winter to spring, like sometimes basketball does, or baseball or softball or any of those sports, they have to be certified basically in the middle of that break between the 2 academic terms. So depending on where that falls, it could affect their NCAA postseason participation, or it could affect their participation on the team for the next term, or in both a good way and a bad way. So for example, let's say a student athlete is not eligible for winter term because of their fall grades, they struggled or whatever it might be, they could remedy their situation and be eligible for spring term with their winter grades, or vice versa. They could become ineligible after a term's grades. So it happens 3 times a year. It could affect them in the middle of the season depending on how the season falls. But for the most part, we have solid students who understand, they have a job to do. And they get it done in the classroom as well.
One of the many things that you have going on right now, you're a little bit like a football coach in December because it's your busiest time of the year because the transfer portal doesn't only open for the coaches, it opens for you as well. So just sort of talk me through the general space of the transfer portal at this point in time because it's just opening up, especially if you're talking about football. This is the time where the transfer portal really runs rampant.
Yeah, actually, the transfer portal opens for football on December 4th. So, that started to pick up for our office. Volleyball actually opened on December 3rd. So, that's kind of going as well. And then we have the soccer, women's soccer, and cross country that have been open for a while. And then every spring sport actually has between December 1st and December 15th. That's considered their fall window to be able to enter the transfer portal if they're a spring sport, but they're leaving for whatever reason. So again, baseball, softball, men's, women's golf, those kinds of sports could enter the portal between December 1st and the 15th. So it does start to pick up based on that transfer window schedule. We do have a few student athletes that know they want to go right away. They've already talked with their coaches. Maybe they even reached out to me ahead of time. So as soon as that portal window opens, I'm able to put them in. We have others that are having conversations today or yesterday or tomorrow or wherever, right around the start of that window. A couple pieces that people need to understand. One is the student athlete does not have to pick a school within that transfer portal window. They just have to be in the portal window, in the window, right? So if the window is December 1st to the 15th for those spring sports, then they only have to have their name listed in between that December 1st to the 15th. They don't actually have to pick the school that they're going to go to. And then the student who is maybe still in a sport that's just finishing or a sport that's still competing and is working on the process, is starting the process, has the opportunity to get in as soon as the portal window opens. The portal windows for the fall sports are 30 days. And so from whenever they open, December 3rd, December 4th, or November 18th, or whatever that date was, there's a 30-day window to put their name into the portal. So every sport is a little bit different, but the procedure for everybody is still the same. The student athlete lets us know, make sure they've had a conversation with their coach, and then we have a form and a video that the NCAA requires that they watch. And once they do that, then we put them in the portal, and then they can start talking with coaches at other schools. So it's pretty straightforward once they actually make the decision.
There's also a kind of a lot to think about from a student-athlete perspective at this time of the year. How do they get all of that sort of necessary information from you in terms of really synthesizing how they're going to make their decision or if they're going to enter the portal and all of the sort of logistics that are involved with potentially moving schools?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work for them. It's almost like being back in high school or junior college or whatever that might be, right? They have to do the analysis mostly for themselves, to be honest. They have to sit down with whoever they trust, whether that's a coach or a family member, maybe that's somebody that they have in their lives that they trust, and decide, do I even want to have this conversation with my coach about transferring? Am I ready to do that? Have I made that decision? And usually if they come to the answer is yes, then they'll go sit down and they'll have the conversation with their coach, and they'll most of the time be on the same page. And then they start the process with me. And the compliance side of the process is really just logistics, right? We're just the ones that execute how they actually get into the portal. The pre-stuff about deciding should they go in, and then the post stuff of, well, where do I look now and who do I talk to and what school is going to be a good fit for me, don't necessarily, I'm happy to be a resource for them on both ends. I answer a lot of questions for preliminary information for the students who want to go in, but I'm not really advising them on that. And they're adults. For better or worse, they need to figure it out for themselves or with the people that they trust. But we're always here on the front end and the back end from the compliance perspective. A lot of times they actually consult with their coaches on the front end and back end as well, too, especially if the relationships are still good and they're still saying, okay, you're telling me I maybe am not going to play here, or I don't feel like I want to play here anymore. What do you recommend as places I should look at? What schools do you think would be a good fit for me? Because you know me, you've been coaching me. Where should I be looking to talk to coaches? What schools should I be looking at to transfer? So, and everybody's transfer process is different. The student athletes are case by case, to be honest, because some of them are transferring to get more playing time. Some of them are transferring to be closer to home. And so it's really across the board, just a very, very diverse process for each student. Everybody tries to lump everything all together, but it really is quite individual.
I'm glad you bring up the coaches, because the coaches have to know all the compliance things that go into entering the transfer portal and transferring in that regard as well. You talk about it from the student-athlete perspective, but what about from a program perspective, from a coach perspective? What do they need to know in order to make sure that they're following everything in compliance that they need to in order to properly navigate the transfer portal and bring in players to the university in the inverse?
Yeah, absolutely. So the transfer portal does have both sides to it, right? It's the student-athlete side where they are entering the portal and potentially transferring out. But then you've got the transfers in as well. You've got folks that you're seeing who've listed their name in the transfer portal that are trying to come to Oregon or to another school. So they've got a piece to this as well. The transfer portal has always... Let me back that up. Transfers have always existed, right? We've always had transfers in the 20 plus years that I've been working in college sport. We've always had transfers. They might look a little different now than they did back in the day, but we've always had transfers. The thing that the coaches have to worry about now is just looking at the transfer portal and deciding, am I interested in recruiting this person either again, because maybe I recruited them out of high school and now they're in the transfer portal because they didn't pick us right out of high school, or am I, not going to even pursue them? Are they interested in pursuing us? And it's basically almost like starting over with what you were doing with juniors and seniors in high school. You get to do in like a week with a college transfer. You have to figure out, in a very, very short period of time, am I interested as a coach? Am I interested in filling my roster spot that I have with this student athlete? The evaluation tools that they use are probably a little bit different, because with a junior and senior in high school, you have an extended period of time, 18 months, to get to know the family and the student and their academics and their life. With the transfer portal, these students, they're putting their names in. Let's take soccer, for example, right? They put their names in end of November, middle of November, and we start school on January 8th. So there's a, 6-8 week period, right, where these students are trying to leave their current school, find a new home, move, get to their current school, get enrolled, do all of those things, and it's very truncated. And so our coaches are having to adapt to that, just like with everything else in college athletics. You just dodge and weave, right? And so the coaches are having to adapt to that. They're having to figure out how much do they want to get into the transfer portal. Are they interested in filling their team spots with transfers, or would they rather just recruit bigger freshman classes? And everybody tries to find, I think, a happy medium, kind of a middle ground with that.
There's so many moving parts with the transfer portal, and Jody Sykes, that's Chief Compliance Officer Jody Sykes, talking about it a little bit there. Continuing her conversation with Ryan when we come back. NIL, changing the landscape of college athletics. She's got some updates on that for you when we return to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. More after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. OnPoint, people are the point. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. We're continuing our conversation from earlier this week with Jody Sykes. She's actually traveling yesterday and today, hence why Ryan talked with her earlier on Monday. She was kind enough to do so. Talking a little bit about beach volleyball, women's golf. She's the sport admin for those two. And also NIL, transfer portal, anything else going on in compliance. A lot of great information. Honestly, keeping me in line. Jody Sykes here.
It is so ever-changing in terms of everything compliance and everything transfer portal. How often do coaches come to you and make sure that they're following the correct guidelines? Or is it you going to coaches? How does that process work?
Yeah, so we try to be available for coaches just, whenever they have questions, right? We all have cell phones, obviously, and so, we encourage the coaches to send us a text, pick up the phone, whatever that might be, and ask the question. We have a saying that we say a lot when we're doing presentations or talking is that we don't get to ask for forgiveness in this business, in this world of compliance, right? You need to ask for permission. So we really encourage our coaches of all levels, assistant coaches, head coaches, to ask questions on the front end, try to get out in front of those questions. If you're not sure, if you don't remember the rule, just call us and ask, or send us an email or send us a text, whatever's better for you. We do hold monthly rules education. So we actually go in the room right next door here and have monthly rules education with the coaches. And that could be on a variety of topics, right? Because compliance covers more than just transfers, as everybody knows. And so it's kind of the regular reminders, things that are on our schedule to regularly talk about. But in addition to whatever might be the hot topic or the current issue of the day that we have to maybe get some information out about. So we have those on a monthly basis as well. We send regular communications, usually emails, to our coaches about anything that's quick changing, right? So something, maybe there was a blanket waiver passed by the NCAA or some sort of interpretive thing that came out. And especially if it's sports specific, then we'll just take that information and get it straight to those coaches right away via email. If it's super important, we might go track those coaches down and find them and say, hey, did you see this? This has an immediate effective change, or hey, we're going to talk about this in a month because it doesn't take effect until next June, but we wanted you to be aware that it was out there. So a lot of communication, both directions, from us to coaches and staff and from coaches and staff to us. But we just encourage them to ask questions, want them to have the information that they need. A lot of the veterans have a pretty good solid foundation, and so they're just occasionally asking questions here and there. And a lot of the newbies are still building that foundation, so they come in maybe more frequently or reach out more frequently just to double check something that they want to know about or that they want to make sure they do the right way.
Jody Sykes, Associate Athletic Director, Chief Compliance Officer here. I want to shift gears to the NIL side of things because that's a big part of the players' perspective, a big part of the change in the NCAA over the last few years. And what do athletes have to factor in when partnering with a company? It's almost like a coach when they're bringing in a transfer from the portal. An athlete has probably a bunch of companies that they have to decide where they're going to go with their NIL. How do athletes synthesize what is a right partnership for me, and how does compliance play into that?
So compliance is only involved in NIL to the education side of things, right? We have to worry about education and we have to worry about the disclosures. And so part of our role in the compliance piece is to help the student athletes understand what their brand is. So then they get to the other part of your question, which is how do I align what my brand is, what my goals are with the companies that are approaching me? We have brought in different speakers and different folks on a variety of different levels to help our student athletes understand that. But once the student athlete understands, okay, I control my name, image, and likeness. So how do I want that represented to the public? What companies align their goals and their mission statement and their whatever it might be with my goals? Where do those things interact, right? Where do those companies interact? And how does that look like when it's presented to the public? What does that image look like? Am I going to want my 85-year-old grandmother to see this post or to see this commercial? Is it something that I would be proud showing her? And that's really the direction that we give them. Every student then has to decide for themselves, is that how I want to proceed? Is this what I want to do going forward? But what I do for me has to align with whatever this company is, right? Some of them have marketing firms that they're using that help them with that, help them analyze that. Some of them are doing it on their own. Some of them aren't even getting that deep into it. They're just kind of on the surface level of the things that they can do. So it really, there's just a huge gamut of the involvement of things for name, image, and likeness that students can be involved in, from not at all to completely head over heels, deep dive in the end of the pool there, to be completely immersed in name, image, and likeness. And so it really is, it's all across the board. Compliance wise, we have to help with education, we have to help with the disclosures and monitoring of that. But other than that, we're just trying to point the students in the right direction, find them the resources that they need to help them understand their brand, file their taxes, run a camp and clinic, whatever that might be.
From an NIL standpoint, with group and team sort of NIL initiatives where one company is trying to get the entire team, is that a different negotiation with each and every one of the players? Is that a sort of team lumped in together? How would it work for, let's say, completely hypothetically, there would be potentially a video game maybe for college something, and you go and that company wants to take the entire team and bring them on with their name, image, and likeness. How would that work? Would it be each and every player, or would it be a team collective?
Yeah, so because of Oregon state laws and the way that the NCAA rules work around this, the University of Oregon cannot be in the middle of that deal. So any university employee cannot be involved in the middle of that deal. So let's say it's a team video game or a car company that wants to do something with an entire team or whatever. That car company or those individuals in that video game world are responsible for reaching out to the student athletes and securing those deals. So it would ultimately be an individual deal with each student athlete where maybe they opt in to that deal. But ultimately those are done between the student athletes and the company. We do have some folks that help with that, both in the collective space as well as through a third-party marketing group called Open Doors that can help kind of facilitate those. But the University of Oregon doesn't get to pick and choose who gets the deals or where those deals come from. We actually have to stay out of that. That is, that we're not allowed to be in those negotiations. We're not allowed to decide any of that. And so if a company does want to do an entire team deal, it is on that company to go to the student athletes and to work on getting them to opt in or not opt in for that deal. And then also it's on the company to make sure that the student athletes fulfill the terms of that deal so that they do the posting or they do the appearance or they do whatever it is they have to do to earn whatever the terms of the deal are.
Jody Sykes, not only the Chief Compliance Officer, a wearer of many hats, also the sport liaison for both beach volleyball and women's golf. In between seasons right now, in between the fall and the spring, what sort of happens for these sports when you're in between seasons?
Yeah, beach and golf are both kind of in the same scenario. They're finishing up finals right now, so they're hopefully focused on academics. I know there's a couple that have finals today, and then they're done, and then we have some that I don't think they have their finals until Friday, so they're kind of working and studying and doing their thing. They get a little downtime, so many of them will go home, maybe to wherever they're from, whether that's internationally or domestically. They get a pretty decent-sized break. Even if they have a final on Friday, they don't have to be back here till that first week of January. So they get about a month, and they can go home. They can go travel. Some of the student athletes, I've heard from a few of them, they're going to go travel for a little bit with their families. Others will just go home and use the downtime. Sometimes in the sport of women's golf, especially, there will be winter amateur tournaments that they could go play in if they want to. And in beach volleyball, they're just floating around and getting time on the court and keeping up their skills. And just to kind of, like with all of us, hopefully enjoying some holiday time, right? Enjoying some family time. Because frankly, for both sports, when they come back in January and early January, it'll be quick and fast, and they will be diving right into the heart of their seasons right when we get back in training in January and competitions as early as February. So hopefully they're like most of our sports will get a little downtime, get a little time with family, time away from the university, because the winter and spring terms are a lot, both academically and competition-wise, and so hopefully they take this time to rest, rejuvenate, get back going, and then come back in January with a full head of steam ready to go.
I know last time you were on with Joey, it was right at the grand opening of the Jake. This is just about the time of the year for those athletes who don't go home. This is when the Jake is getting that real utilization, when it's like this in Eugene.
Absolutely. The last few weeks, probably most of November, last half of November, and certainly these couple weeks here for the students, whether they're going home or not, they've been here for school. And this is exactly the kind of iffy, rainy, sometimes cloudy weather that the Jake was envisioned for, right? It took us, 10, I think, years or so to finally get that facility built. So we're grateful for the donors and the people who finally made that happen. But you're exactly right. This is the kind of Eugene winter weather where those hitting bays are extremely wonderful. They're heated, they're covered. Even if it's warm enough to be outside on the mat, there's still a covered section where you're not going to get wet, even if the rain is coming down, or maybe something worse. I mean, you could even go to the Jane in the snow because you can hit in those bays and not even notice that it's snowing outside. So super, super grateful. I know both the men's and women's golf teams are super grateful for that opportunity, especially while they're here in these months. And certainly when they come back in January and February, it's going to be a little bit of that too.
What fans might not know, you were a collegiate golfer in your own right. Are you taking advantage of it yourself? Are you getting the swings up?
I have not, actually, believe it or not. I just haven't had time. I know, right? Silliness. I've talked with Coach Dillard about going down there. I've talked with a couple of other people who are avid golfers and going down there just to show off the facility and hit some balls. But ironically, I've been down there many times for a variety of reasons, but I have not hit one single golf ball yet. Don't worry, I will. But I just haven't done it yet.
So on your day off on February 30th, you're going to go to the Jake and you're going to get some swings.
Maybe. Yeah, if it's sunny, I might go outside, though. So, but no, again, for me even, right, if I get to go hit out of the Jake bays, I can do that regardless of the weather. I actually might have a little bit of time in this winter break to actually go do that, which will be great for me as well. Even if the students aren't around, I can go down and use it. So super excited.
That's Jody Sykes, Associate Athletic Director, Chief Compliance Officer, breaking down all things compliance. Jody, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
Ryan Milano talking with Jody Sykes, Chief Compliance Officer, earlier this week. A lot of great information on the state of where a lot of things are in college football. And if you're just joining us, congratulations again to Bo Nix, the Campbell Trophy Award winner. And talking about academics, we're going to do that a bit more when we come back. Things to be proud of around the University of Oregon. And a check-in on basketball after this. Come on back for Dana Altman on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here in the Country Financial Studio. Every time we talk with a head coach, it's brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. Dana Altman met with the media yesterday. The Oregon head coach coming off that buzzer beater win against Michigan. It's finals week, and then the Ducks are back in action. Men's basketball on Saturday with a 6 o'clock tip against UTEP. We'll have a 5:30 pregame show here on the Oregon Sports Network. Coach Altman with some updates yesterday.
Seeing the energy pick up a little bit, confidence pick up after that win on Saturday?
Yeah, a little bit. We're in finals this week, so we got a lot of guys scrambling to get stuff done and, finish up everything. Kind of a pressure-packed week. So, we needed a win after a couple disappointing games in Florida. So it did definitely help.
Looks like Mookie's got a practice jersey on. Is he starting to get able to move around a little bit?
No, he just wanted to dress up today. So he is working out a little bit, but still not ready to go.
Talk a little bit about what you've seen from Rigsby lately.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, can you talk a little bit about what you've seen from Rigsby lately?
He really played well against Michigan. He graded out really high offensively and defensively. We just need him to play with confidence, keep shooting it when he has open looks. Defensively, he's got to get a little bit of that same energy. He hangs back a little bit. I don't think he uses his athleticism enough sometimes on the defensive end. So I'd like to see him do that a little bit more, especially on the boards. But he really played well against Michigan.
I feel like Mo has just progressed since his role has gotten significantly bigger.
He's done a great job. I don't know where we'd be without him with both Nate and Dante down, Mookie not playing. KJ didn't rebound very well the other day. So Mo has been our most physical player, and whatever we need, he tries to do. So couldn't be happier with him. Great kid, and love working with him, and all his teammates really like working with him. He's been a big addition.
You've seen his confidence maybe just go up simply just by knowing he's going to have to play?
I think so. He knows he's got to play. That helps anybody. But no, he's worked hard ever since day one. I've had no hesitation to put him in at all. He's been banged up a little bit. He plays through it. He's done a tremendous job.
Have you seen Kwame adjusting to a few more minutes at the 5, and you guys are probably anticipating him playing at the start of the year?
Yeah, But we've changed our offense, so when he's in there, it's a 5-out game. It's not like we're posting him up much, so it's not that big a change. He does get some matchup advantages, with bigger 5 men out on the perimeter, so it should be to his advantage on the offensive end. What he's really got to change is his physicality on the defensive end and on the boards. And he's working on it, but he does have to get more physical on the defensive end and much more physical on the boards.
You see Jesse with the boot on, do you know kind of timeline for his return?
No, I don't know what it is. He hadn't practiced for a couple weeks now, so since Florida he's been out. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Any thoughts on UTEP on Saturday, a team that's already beaten a Pac-12 team this year? Yeah,
they are very athletic, really aggressive defensively. We're going to have to be really strong with the ball. I think they're 6-3 and force over 18 turnovers a game. So again, ball handling, handling their pressure will be really important. And then defensively and on the boards, they're a +4 on the boards. They're a good rebounding team, play a lot of guys. And so, we're going to have to play well. There's no doubt about it. We gave a lot of energy in the Michigan game. The crowd was great. We're going to need that same type of effort, same type of energy to beat a very good UTEP team.
What's your read on the Pac-12 so far this year through 7 or so games?
Arizona's really good. From what I haven't seen them play yet, but obviously they're number 1 in the country and beat a couple really good teams. So they've played awfully well. UCLA I think is really good. Washington has had some impressive games. Colorado's really good. They got a lot of players back, and I think they've lost 1 game, but they've done really well. So I watched Stanford a lot getting ready for the Michigan game because they played Michigan down in the Bahamas. So they're really talented and really shooting the ball well. So, Utah's playing well. It's going to be a competitive race.
Talked about end of last season, this team needed to get better at shooting the 3 ball. And 7 games in, I realize there's still a lot left to play, but starting to figure out who's doing what, and it feels like your numbers are up, across the board with multiple guys in that area. How do you feel like you've just shot the ball from 3?
Well, we shot a little better. Brennan being healthy helps. That's what we brought him in here for a year ago and struggled with injuries, so I don't know if he ever really got on track. He missed bunch of games early and didn't start playing until December and then re-injured it a couple times, so he really struggled, but he's healthy now and shooting good. Jermaine shot it okay last year, isn't quite on track this year, but hit a big one the other day. We knew Jackson was a really good shooter. Bam shot it okay, Cario shot it okay. So guys we brought in, we thought were solid 3-point shooters. I don't know if any of them were great 3-point shooters, but everybody was solid. And we were pretty conservative the other day on our threes, but everything was penetration kick inside out. And because of that, the percentages were a little higher. We didn't take any off the dribble, which is traditionally a better shot for a college player and most pros. And so I thought our penetration kicks were pretty good and made shots for each other, especially like Jermaine, I know had 3 assists on 3 threes, just getting in the paint and making really good play.
Do you feel like your shot selection's just improved then too?
Well, I didn't think we took any bad ones, so that, really helps. I thought our guys were, like I said, maybe a little too conservative. Looking in the film, I thought there were a couple chances, for us to take some more. But again, most of them were off the pass, which, I really like to see guys making plays for each other. And I think that's usually a little higher percentage 3.
You talked last week about kind of exploring all avenues to potentially add a player with Dante and Biddle out. Has there been any sort of update on that or any sort of progress?
We're still just swinging away. We've got a couple weeks here. We end our quarter Friday, and so that until January 8th or 9th when we start the second the winter quarter. We've got a little time there to maybe try to get somebody in. So we're looking at some different guys, but nothing to report.
Jackson's got a couple games under his belt now. How do you feel he's progressing and getting used to the college life and just playing at this level?
Good. He's sitting out a month. He didn't pay attention like he should have a little bit, and so he needs to get some of our sets back and pay a little more attention. But no, Jackson's, I think he's going to grow into a really good player. He's a good player now, but I think there's so much more in front of him. Got to get a little bigger, a little stronger, and that'll come with age in the weight room. And but his instincts are so good, and he dumps that one to Mo in overtime. He just took a dribble. The guy's the ball was just out of his hands. He didn't take an extra dribble like so many guards will take. Ball just gets out of his hands good, and he's a good shooter, good feel. He hit a couple nice drives to start the second half that we really needed, and so he's going to keep getting better and better, I think. He works pretty hard. He listens really good, so he wants to be a player, so that's a big part of it.
What does the next step look like for him, aside from getting the sets down? Just what do you want to see from him between now and the start of conference play?
Just a little bit more focused defensively. He lost his focus a little bit. I think part of that's conditioning because he was out so long. But he's got to get a little more focused on the defensive end. That same focus to run the offense, on the offensive end and get our sets down. He's got to do a little better job on the boards. We all do. When we're undersized now, I don't think he got a rebound the other day. He's got a rebound. Everybody's got a rebound. Just what it is without Dante out there getting 20. We need somebody getting them. So, but that's everybody. That's all our guys. That's just not Jackson. All our guys need to rebound better, and it's going to be a common theme for us. Until we either get Dante back or we play small, whatever. Rebounding is going to be a big focus.
Is that as simple as just getting a body on somebody, or is there anything sort of system-wise that's hurting you guys right now?
Getting a body and then just getting them ball, running down long ones. That's where guards can really help. The three ball is such a big part of the game. Long shot, long rebound. Short shot, short rebound. So those long threes, our guards got to run them down. We're not doing a good job of that. So too many times we're leaving the fight, trying to get our break started, and pretty hard to run without the ball. So we got to get it first.
Pretty hard to run without the ball is a great quote from Coach Altman. I think that this team can get so much better. And the fact that they're sitting at 5-2, couple losses in that multi-team event in Florida, if you told me going into the year that N'Faly Dante had played in one game, Nate Biddle had played in just a handful, and the Ducks would be 5-2 sitting here during finals week, I'd probably say, that's pretty good. It's a guard-oriented team, and certainly now having the practice time to build toward what this roster looks like for the end of non-conference, and then we'll see about the big men. Dante may be reevaluated in 3 weeks or so. Nate Biddle in about 7 weeks or so. I think if you're the Ducks, you plan to be without him. And then if you get him back, you can change things. But, Coach Altman did mention something there that I don't know that I've talked about enough on the show and maybe on the play-by-play broadcast too. The Ducks have had to totally change their offense and change their sets because they were going to run a lot through Dante and through Biddle. Not doing that now. They've had to change a lot, and I think this extra practice time, they're going to look even more efficient, I should say, offensively. At least that's my hunch on Saturday against UTEP compared to last Saturday against Michigan, just because of that extra practice time. Quick timeout, coming back, finishing up the show on a Wednesday after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCAA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here in the Country Financial Studio. Announced today, 6 different University of Oregon athletics programs achieved a perfect graduation success rate, we abbreviate GSR, of 100% by student-athletes who enrolled at the University of Oregon between 2013 and 2016 and received athletics aid. The overall GSR for Oregon athletics is 85%, up from 84% a year ago, and the 13th consecutive year in which the department's GSR has been 80% or higher. For all University of Oregon student-athletes who exhausted their eligibility, their GSR was 89%, up from 88% a year ago. Got to be successful in the classroom. Student-athletes, after all. The 6 Oregon individual programs achieving a 100% GSR: women's tennis, men's tennis, soccer, women's basketball, women's golf, and acrobatics and tumbling. Congratulations to those 6 programs. Both tennis programs posted a 100% GSR for the 7th consecutive year. Shout out to Nil Sheelander and Courtney Nagel. It's a big part of their tennis programs. And the women's golf team did so for the 6th consecutive year, and acrobatics and tumbling did it for the 4th consecutive year. The recent cohort also marks the 2nd consecutive 100% GSR for both the Ducks women's basketball and soccer programs, joining that long run now of that 100% graduation success rate. A total of 11 Oregon programs posted a GSR of 80 or above, including football right at 80%, women's cross country and track and field at 81%, lacrosse 96, softball 85, and volleyball 85, as well as the 6 that reached that 100% mark. Rob Mullins said, quote, "The top priority within Oregon athletics remains a steadfast commitment to high academic achievement by our student athletes, culminating with graduation." Shout out to the Jaquez Center for that as well. Big deal. That's today's show. We'll hear a bit from Jermaine Couisnard and also previewing the Fiesta Bowl with the voice of the Flames, Alan York, tomorrow.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250